So I finally have a chance to review the Netgate SG 3100, and we actually already tested it. So this is a unboxing video that's kind of like some of the plastics removed. It's not an iPhone or anything, which I know get people really excited when people take them out of boxes. Never been a big unboxing guy. As a matter of fact, just because I don't like putting things back in boxes. But here it is, and only thing been removed was the plastic. Sorry I didn't have it on video when I peeled off the fresh layers, but we'll show you what does come in the box. We'll start with the basics here. Nice heavy power cord, which heavy, that's an important thing. It's not one of those really thin, scary ones that might catch fire, which we've seen if you plug them into high wattage things. So thank you for packaging a good power cord. We got a USB cable for, I'm assuming this would be for the console access on it. Hopefully I'll never need that, but they ship with it. Power brick, one power brick that is a 40 watts, so plenty of power. This does not get warm. We did some testing, like I said, with it already. And of course, the part we really care about, the Netgate SG 3100 itself. Now, this is the packaging's nice. We'll just cover that. It's nice. It's well protected. It was covered in plastic and had the little thing we peeled off, so everything's nice and new and fancy inside there. The first thing we're going to talk about, though, is the power supply. I like these connectors. We see these in some other commercial equipment. Great choice to put them on here. And what we have is, and let me drag something over here to make this easier to see, we have a power connector with a screw-on tip. And I like these. And the reason for these is when we put this in, we'll start with that, it's not going to come out. So you kind of get that idea. They're like, pretty solid. So on that thing that happens every now and then when you have something sitting in a rack and you slide it forward, and the face you make when the power cord pulls out of the back because someone didn't leave enough slack when you're trying to look and see what's plugged in the back and you shut down a network in the middle of the day. Yeah. Anyways, that's not going to occur here with this. So it's got the nice screw-in type. So that is a feature that I'll just comment right off the bat I really like with this. But now we can go over what is on the back of this. So we have WAN, Opt1, and 4 LAN ports. And now these work in a very different way than I've seen set up in pfSense before, because they essentially are one, you see LAN, it shows you the individual ports, and we'll cover the software side of this shortly. So you see the individual ports, which is cool. But they act as one, so you don't get, it's not like a box that has all logical network ports. It has these grouped together as LAN. These are your other logical. So technically you have 3 logical ports, but it's nice having a switch. Only minor disappointing thing for those wondering, it's in the documentation. These do not support spanning tree protocol, so if you loop them together, you'll have an issue. But whatever, I don't think that's the end of the world, not a big deal. You're talking about a device that I think is very reasonably priced. And that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to review this, because it's very fast, it's very power efficient, and it's very reasonably priced. You get all the pfSense power in a really nice compact box. So with your default is WAN, and this being LAN, and Opt1 being whatever you want it to be. Our predicted use case that we have for a lot of this is going to be Opt1 used as a failover for WAN. We usually have it assigned as like WAN 2, and just habit for how I name them. I usually name the second one whatever the backup internet is. So if they have an AT&T line as their primary and a Comcast as secondary, or whatever their fiber company is they're using, whichever it is, we name them like that, and that's so we can have the failover set up on there. All right, so let's dig into the box itself. Now, bottom of the box, metal. Nice, got the serial number on there, ID number, model number. The rubber feet, nice grippy rubber, so it feels solid. It doesn't slide around a lot when it's on there. Take out the 4 screws on the bottom, and we reveal the guts inside here. Standard plastic, ABS, kind of feeling plastic on there. Easy, holds up good. It feels, I like it. It feels nice. Now, once we're inside, we have a few different things we're going to notice. Here's that extra expansion here. We appear to have like an mSATA and a PCIe. We got mSATA over here. Yes, yep, mSATA and USB. Another one here, and this is a PCIe port. So pretty simple design, and your standard battery, which thank you for using a standard battery that you're going to find all over the place. Your CR2032 battery for holding settings and time on that. So pretty straightforward. Now the processor, I'm not going to take this apart. They do have the little red die on it to probably like the Loctite to make sure you don't do these. It's the same, is it the same screw head? Yeah. As the other one was, but I'm not taking it apart. I'm assuming this base is how it dissipates the heat with the processor being right there. Now we did notice after we ran it for a while, it got kind of warm, but certainly not hot. We'll look at the temperatures when we show you the soft runner. It tells you what the temperature is in there. It's how the temperature registered. It didn't feel that hot from the outside, so I'm guessing it's measuring the core of the temperature, but it's not anything at all to be concerned about. Now, side note, they did put a Kensington lock on this. So you have a locking mechanism, so you can do the Kensington lock so someone doesn't walk off with your firewall. Now, you may have noticed that there's a couple lights here, and they're piped out right to the edge so you can see them. It turns out they are not in the manual, but they are programmable. So you can take a look at that. The basic of it is right now you have a glowy light, I think it's blue, that's going to be it's booting up and it's on, and then we have orange when it needs an update. But the nice thing is they're programmable, they have documentation, so if you wanted to do some hacking, you could write your own reasons for lights to do things, or future releases may contain other updates that add to that. So that's the inside of it. Like I said, not a lot inside, but they're nice. Like I said, I just want to get a look inside of it, get an idea. Now let's get to the important part, and the part we all really care about is the software side of it. That's really what matters with pfSense. We didn't buy it to look at it. It's not an Apple device. We want to actually use it. I guess you could use Apple devices. I'm just not really a fan. So, all right, let's jump into the software and talk about the details of it and the processor in it and the RAM and what it looks like when you try to route really fast over it and have Suricata running. And I know where all the screws are. I'm putting them all back in. All right, so we got the SG3100 plugged in, booted up, and ready to go. The blue light is your indicator that it's on. It's kind of like it doesn't stay steady. It kind of fades in and out. Nice, not too annoying. That lets you know that it's on and ready. When I first plugged it in and started setting up, it had an orange light. I didn't read the instructions first because why? And it turns out the orange light was for an update. Once we updated, the orange light went out. So that's what the lights mean. The other one is currently unused, but they have future options you can find in a forum, and they got information if you wanted to start hacking away at it yourself. It's open source, so they document things and let you mess around with it. Back to the device, though. Boot up time really fast, so that was nice to see, and it just jumps right in, boots right up. Now, what you're going to see is, I think the boot up time being right around, with Suricata installed, still under 60 seconds. So if you accidentally do have to power cycle it, or how long before you have to check again while you wait for something to happen, it's going to be a roughly 60-second for a reboot. Rarely do you ever have to reboot firewalls. The update did take a little bit longer. I think the update took about, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes to load. I didn't really time it, but it was still relatively fast. So no issues there. Heat-wise, it says it's running at 59. I can put my hand on the bottom of it, so I don't really think it's at 59. It must be measuring the core of the processor temperature, but the device itself is very, very cool, so it doesn't seem to have much heat going to it. I've got Suricata running on it already. I turned that on as part of when I was turning on the setup. I just want to make sure I had some type of load on it. On the interfaces, you notice this looks a little bit different than you may have seen with normal pfSense. So like I said, you have 3 logical networks, but you do have all 4 of these operating as they are attached LAN. So it basically it has a switch built into it. Be the simple way to describe that. And you notice you have switches here as an under interface assignment. Now it doesn't let you, like I said, assign these logically. It sees the ports, but it doesn't let you have any logical assignment to them to create separated networks and things like that. They're a switch. They're all bridged together, just like a normal switch would be. So essentially you're getting a firewall, a 3-port firewall, but the 3rd port is tied to a switch. It does detect whether or not they're plugged in and tells you, what it's plugged in at, gigabit, 100, whichever. It does seem to have link aggregation support on there, maybe. I don't know. I see it in here. I don't know if this is something future they're going to do where you maybe tie and lag together one of the LAN ports with one of those. I don't really see, the idea for this really is that to be a switch. So there's a couple options in here, but I'm going to skip over that. But as your normal assignments, as they are, WAN, LAN, opt1, and like I said, our use case that we foresee with this for a lot of small businesses is going to be opt1 becoming the failover WAN, because dual internet is pretty much a necessity in a lot of places now. When you assign the VLANs, this is actually kind of nice as well. So if I added a VLAN and I added it to LAN, these would then all become the head and trunk ports for me to connect it to another switch. So we do a lot of Unify installs, as you know, and that's frequently we'll just create a couple extra VLANs off of the Unify switch so people can have their separate IoT devices. Easy to do, tie it to LAN so you can plug your couple devices in, but then have your Unify go, nope, this is a separate network that has its own set of rules for that. Really easy to do inside of here. So we would just create that against this LAN, and it would push out the VLAN information. Now, like I said, I have the services running like Suricata on here. If you notice too, going through the menus, this is not sped up, this is fast. This system works quite well. So if we want to stop Suricata, we're going to go ahead and stop. And it stopped. And we can go ahead and start it and see how long it takes to start. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are we up to? Maybe 10 seconds here. And there we go. So 12 seconds to start it. Not bad. That's actually reasonably fast. Suricata, if you've used it, you know it's loading all the rule sets in and things like that takes some processor power to get that going. The system remains quite snappy while you're doing it. So you see the processor usage here, and we're still low memory usage for it. So that's typical of pfSense. Just it's not real memory intensive. So here's your temperature is now up to 62, and let's do what you all want to really know. Will it route a gigabit? Yeah, I've already spoiled it. Yes, it will. So here's me rerunning the same test again, and here we go. So a little bit of drop in there, but there's other things running on my network, so this could, let's try it one more time so we have a better test. They said it would route a gigabit. It does appear to be routing a gigabit. So if you have a gigabit internet connection, you're able to route there. So we had 902 versus 898. Let's try one more. And this is, by the way, with Suricata on, because obviously there's benchmarks that are perfect scenarios, and then there's, you know, then there's this right here. So we have at least something running on it that might cause a little bit of a slowdown. So you're still in the same range. Let's try it now with Suricata off. Services, Suricata, stop. Let's see if it makes any difference on the speed test. Oops. For those wondering, I'm using iPerf3 for the speed testing. Yeah, we're a little bit faster with Suricata off. Nothing substantial. It's a really minor. We're probably what is that, about less than a % difference. So we went from 910 and 908 from 904 and 901. So that tiny little bit of a difference, pretty, like I said, pretty minor on there. So the speed is what it says. I'm not going to do any specific VPN testing. They even have said themselves that this system, which does have the Marvel cryptographic engine in here, so for OpenVPN, which they can use that, they're currently getting 100 meg for OpenVPN. I believe it's 300 for IPsec VPNs. So this is a really ideal little box for running it at home. You want to create a home network. Maybe you work from home but need a pure VPN to the office because you have a couple things that you want connected, like your phone system and stuff like that, at your house there. You want it on a separate network because you want the kids' stuff over here, and you want something that has traffic shaping and all those fun features. This is a great device. That's actually a nice feature of pfSense, is you get all the power of pfSense, but in a box that's not breaking the bank. I'm really impressed with this overall. Like I said, the power brick, not even warm. So the power brick itself is probably a little bit more wattage than this needs, and we'll get to the exact wattage uses in just a second here. I gotta plug the measuring device in. I gotta find it. So overall, I'm really impressed with it. It's nice, it's clean, the design is good, it's well made. I like the metal base on it, like I said when we took it apart. Real happy with this device, so can't really complain about it. Having the LAN ports that are all gigabit that means that you got plenty of little bit of plenty of expansion. And like I said, this is a great for small businesses where I don't have to put in this and another switch. So many places have like one thing plugged in, and that's all we need is 1 or 2 devices plugged in and maybe a Wi-Fi device, and that's it. And we got 4 ports here to do that. So same with if you're a home user. I mean, of course, you can go jump into another switch and do more with it if you wanted to, but out of the box, you're up and running. You get support right from Netgate with this. And the nice thing is when you buy something from Netgate, for those you maybe didn't catch it, there are people who make pfSense, you don't have to worry about the updates. You can't go, oh no, will this update have a problem? No, they test the updates on their equipment. So when they send you an update for this, you know the update's going to work. And if you're like us, you're updating a lot of things remotely, you really want to know that it's going to work. So that's really important. So my review is buy this thing. If you're looking for a great little firewall that is solid, well-made, and has a couple extra ports so you can just plug in it at home, much better than that crap that's out there like Linksys and some of those other ones that you probably got the old blue box ones sitting around. You're trying to decide what to buy for an upgrade, or do you build one? This is, right now, it's $349 on Netgate's site. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can get it. It's definitely great. This is a nice little box. It's low power, low heat, and let me jump over to the wattage here. It peaks at like 7 watts. And idles at 5. So when we're running data through it, it hits like 7 watts and sits here at idle about 5.5. And like I said, low wattage. So definitely a great little device to have if you're looking for a pfSense box that's all in one and you don't want to worry about buying something strange from third party and how the support might go for it. This is really great overall from the source itself, from the pfSense folks over at Netgate. So, all right, if you like the content here, like and subscribe. If you need help with pfSense or network engineering or things like that, go ahead and contact us. We do consulting and setups as well. And thanks for watching.